Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to do some work on my mowers. I got a question recently to do a review on them. So double wide 6, this one's for you. But before we get going on these, I just cleaned them off. Went through the car wash, cleaned them off, started cleaning this one a little bit better, and I need to get them cleaned up a lot more. So before I go do that, we got to go up and get some parts, and we're gonna go take this guy. Remember him? First of all, let's go to the mailbox. So yeah, this is like a robbery update. This is like the final robbery update. Sorry about the sun behind me. Whew, it's 60 degrees out, and it's the first day. Say the first day? Yeah, first day of December. Beautiful. So, if you watch my other videos, you know I got robbed. A bunch of my trucks got broken into, and this one was actually vandalized. And I just got it back from the dealership. I actually took it to a Chevy dealership because that's where I bought it. I bought it 6 years ago, I think, and used, obviously. And when I had the issue, I called the dealership, and they said that they would honor and do the repairs. So I brought it there, and their diesel mechanic was pretty knowledgeable, and he went through this thing and ended up replacing, let's see, the high pressure oil rail, seals, all 8 injectors, fuel lines, fuel filters, you know, the one under the frame and the one under the hood. They cleaned out the tank. They did all sorts of stuff. And so yeah, so let's get this thing fired up. I had to replace the gauges. As you remember, they stole the whole A-pillar with the gauges in it. None of these are hooked up yet. I just have it up here temporarily. I have all the wiring and everything in the garage. That's going to be another video, but basically it's just kind of covering a hole. For today, God, that sun, it's good, but it's not good for the camera. So, and there she goes. Very nice and smooth. You know, before I took it in, it would it would just be really, really choppy down the low end because one of the injectors wasn't working, and then after a while 2 injectors wouldn't work, or vice versa. Maybe it was 2 and then 1, I don't know, whatever. But anyways, so that is, it's all done, and I'm pretty happy with it. And actually, I'm not even gonna take this truck. I got another truck I want to show you. I'm pretty happy with it. It runs good. Oh, the one issue that I had with it, and it blew my mind because I didn't know that these trucks are like this, especially not an 04. I figured newer, but not an 04. Took it home from the dealership, and the dealership was literally a 1/10 of a mile from the thruway. So once I got it on the thruway, I'm in overdrive and everything was fine. I got it back home, and I took it for a spin around the block after, you know, just because I wanted to go stop and go traffic for a little while. And it wouldn't shift. And when it did shift, it felt like it slipped and then bang into gear, and then it wouldn't go into overdrive, and I just thought my transmission was fried. First thing I thought was a diesel tech took it out for a test ride and frickin' just scattered my transmission. I had no idea. But apparently these transmissions are computerized, the shift points on them. And I kind of knew it because this has got a tuner in it, and you can set the shift points on it. But I just wasn't thinking. I just assumed the worst. The transmission was scattered. You know, the truck got vandalized, and everything was just horrible. I just figured it was just, you know, scattered. So I went on. Oh God, I want to give him a shout out too because I watched this video and it helped out big time. Apparently, since this thing was tuned, the tuner had parameters set for the transmission separately than stock did. And when I was trying to take the truck out for a drive after they had the thing unhooked for so long, the tuner and the stock programming were conflicting with each other. One was telling it to shift and the other one wasn't telling it to shift, and then it was just doing all sorts of weird things. So what I needed to do, because the freaking crackhead that robbed my truck also stole the tuner, the SCT tuner out of the, it was in the glove box. And instead of going to buy a new one, I just was going to have it taken back to a Ford dealership and just have the CPU, flashed, and then, bring it back to stock and then go from there. But I watched the video on YouTube and it was awesome because he showed me how to do it. He took off the positive off the battery and left the other one on the battery, and then put a small jumper from wire to wire. And what that did was drain all the excess power that was in the CPU, bringing it back down to basically like resetting your cable box. You know what I mean? You unplug it for 30 seconds and then it resets it and then reboots. Basically, that's exactly what I had to do to the truck. I did it. Then there was a thing where I had to, all the radio and heater and everything was off. Truck was in park. Turn the key to on position for, I don't know what it was, 30 seconds or whatever, and then I fired the truck up, and then I had to let it sit for a little while, and then I had to have the transmission relearn how to shift. So I took off out of the house and just very slowly went through the gears, and it was okay. It felt like third gear was like trying to bang a little bit, and I don't know, it was a little weird, but it said it had to learn, so just drive it around. So I was doing plow stakes that day. So I went around and I did some plow stakes, and by the time I finished up, the transmission was absolutely perfect. Back to the way it was, shifting fine, and everything is great. So I couldn't be happier with that. The only other issue that I had with the truck was for the first couple of weeks since I had the truck back, I don't drive it a lot. So the diesel mechanic told me point blank, there's going to be air in the lines, or there's going to be air in the injectors where the high pressure oil is, and you really need to drive the truck for a couple hundred miles to work itself out. So for a while I was driving the truck or starting the truck, and it wouldn't start, and it was just having issues and one thing after another. But now she fires right up. It's warm today, but it was I don't know, 30 degrees the other day, and it fired right up, so I'm super happy with it. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this one down. And I need to go get my keys because we're going to go take that truck. That's the new one I just picked up. I'll tell you about that in a second. Let me go get the keys. Alright. So, if you guys remember this one, that's the old one that I bought years ago. Here's the 06 that I just bought. Take a closer look at it. Interior's fairly decent. There's some bit of staining from the previous owner. The dealership got it pretty clean. I think it could be a little bit cleaner. It's only got 70,000 miles on it. It's got a V10. There's a rip in the seat. But I have a friend of mine who does this for a living, and he actually said that he can get this piece of fabric and make this exact piece again, and cut the stitches out and just put a new piece in. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to have that done before it gets worse. But yeah, it's got a V10. This is my 4th V10. I've been happy with them. They're not the best fuel mileage, but they're great pulling the trailer and plowing snow with. Looks like an all new alternator, a new battery. I don't know if any of this stuff is new. It's awfully clean, but I mean, I know they cleaned under the hood, but some of it looks fresh. But I don't know, whatever. It's got decent rubber on it, good for another year or so. It's got some rust here and there under the doors and on the fender, but not too bad. I don't know if this is, yeah, there's a dent right there, so this is actually filler. So I can fix that, grind that out of there, treat the rust, and put some more filler on it. Other side I think is pretty much the same. I'm getting not an emergency brake. I'm getting a TBC fault, which is a trailer brake control. this guy here. So I'm trying to figure out, I got my trailer plugged in and the brakes work fine and everything, and I have no idea why, you know, none of the lights are lit up or anything, and this just doesn't work. And then I look down here, and he's got an aftermarket brake controller. And it works. It works fine. But I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. What happened to that controller? That's probably why the light is on, because this controller took a poop, and the guy just put an aftermarket one in. But yeah, so that's the truck. It goes in tomorrow to have the plow harness put on. I was gonna do it myself, but we're getting busy and I need to have it done. So they're gonna bring me in the morning and put a new controller, or put a new wiring harness in the whole thing, and a new frame. So yeah, this is how it came. It came with a flatbed on it, which I'm loving. I don't know why. I don't know why I wanted a flatbed, but I did. It's got a little rear view camera that's under the visor. I think this is gonna be a good deal. I'm gonna put a trimmer rack, clamp it to the bar here, and then I can put trimmers and, you know, all my gear and stuff for the summertime. And then it'll keep the bed from me, you know, throwing trash in there and grass clippings and, you know, branches and junk, because it just destroys beds. This bed is absolutely destroyed. You know, I got this truck a few years back and I had the bed off and put the cross members on it, and grass clippings in the bed of the thing just absolutely destroyed it. So it's garbage, and the new owner is probably going to be doing the same thing, putting a flatbed on it. But I got to get this trailer off of here, and then we're going to go take this up to the store. So I'll be back. All right, for the mowers. This one's still dirty. I haven't gotten to it yet. I got this one nice and clean. Sprayed a little red paint on the sides there where you get those scratches. So that looks all nice and new. Everything is nice and clean underneath, everywhere. So, a little bit about these mowers. They're Worldlawns. They are 60-inch mowers, and there's a lot of talk about how these are Chinese knockoff mowers. I didn't know Beatrice, Nebraska was in China, because that's where these things are assembled. Talk about Chinese steel. I'm not sure that you can tell me that this is Chinese steel. There's no stamps on anywhere. It doesn't say made in China anywhere. It's nice and thick gauge steel. It's held up incredibly well. I don't even have any, there's not even any issues, you know, like paint chipping off the front of it or anything. I didn't paint any of that. There's one spot right there, and I actually think that's grease that flung off this wheel. Okay, so what it has is a 27 horse Kawasaki with a oil cooler above the intake, which I like, because, you know, they used to have those little tiny ones that were right next to the oil filter. So this is nice. They could have done this design a little bit better. It's really hard to get the fine grass out of underneath here without like an air gun. So if you're out on the field and you just have your blower, you're gonna get some off, but it's not gonna be perfect. They did some cool things with it. The remote oil, you know, to drain the oil, comes out of that hose. You just drop that down. My other mowers never had that, which I thought was a good idea. Let's see, what else? Okay, let's see. Okay, underneath the belts, very simple. Not a lot of pulleys, non-greasable spindles, and the other, what is there? 1, 2, 3. The other 3 pulleys, they're just changeable, no big deal. Okay, blade adjustment you have with a hand control and foot assisted. Makes it easy, and all the increments are right there, so you can just pick the spot that you want to be at. Controls are just very basic. You got a choke and the throttle control, an hour meter, and the PTO for your blades. Okay, as far as drive gear, it has Parker wheel motors, 2 of them obviously, and twin hydro gear pumps for the hydraulic. So that is, you know, basically what every other mower has. Twin tanks, I don't remember how big they are, but they hold a lot of fuel, and I can go probably 2 days on one mower with, so that's what, 50 lawns? Do 50 lawns. Okay, now, that's the good. The bad, few things. That oil deal here, I wish they made that a little simpler to clean. Maybe instead of having these Phillips screws here, maybe they're wing nuts. Or these type of deals, so you can take them off and pull this screen off so you can wipe that down better. Talking about these, I wish that they put slots in this cover, because now you have to pull these all the way off to pull this cover off, which I don't like. I like to be able to just loosen it a little bit and just pop the cover off, but you can't. Gotta take that off so you can lose them. Other bad things. Oh, tires. I wish that they were wider. These are pretty narrow. They do all right, but like in the spring when it's wet out, you're gonna, you notice it. Other than the wider tires, also they're not very good. These tires are new. I just put them on probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is what they look like. They're bald. That is 450 hours, and they're bald. But other than that, everything is pretty cool on these mowers. The seat is comfortable. It's not an air ride seat or a spring seat or anything, but the cushion is nice and comfy. I would probably upgrade those. I got a phone call. Let me get back to you here. Okay, I don't even remember where I was when I got that phone call. I think I was still talking about the bad. Other than the tires, the only issues that I've had with this mower is, well, the back rims. They are recalled because the dimples where the lug nuts tighten down, there's like a raised ridge of steel all the way around, and from the factory that ridge wasn't deep enough, and the rim would actually crack right there. So I had one rim crack. And actually two. I had two rims cracked, and they replaced it, and then I put new tires on at the same time. I got new tires. Ooh, that's bright. I got new tires for this one over here. I'm going to do those either today or tomorrow. And oil it, grease it, and stabilize the fuel and put them away. A couple other things that were bad were all the Deadman switches. I don't like the design of them. It's just a wire that goes into a little plug, and for some reason those wires they jar loose, and then next thing you know, you can't, the blades will shut off or the mower will shut off, and then you got to figure out if it's a Deadman switch on the emergency brake or one of these arms or the PTO for the seat, the one under the seat, so sporadically they would break, and that would kind of irk me. I don't know if anybody's got a better design, but those designs aren't the best. I think that's about it for the bad. The mowers they cut wonderfully. I don't know if you see my last couple of videos. They cut beautiful. In fact, I've had Standers and Simplicity and Ferris, Bobcat, Lesco, and I don't think any of them cut as good as this one does. These two. They cut beautifully. They don't leave that little strip of grass right here. They don't leave the little center stripes. They don't clump very much. They just really, really good mowers. Okay, another couple of good things that I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, the Zerk fittings. So all these mowers have greasable fittings on them, and they're all over the mowers, and they're a pain. A lot of them are just a pain in the ass to get to. I noticed with this mower that they're great. You got. And it's all in a line on one side of the mower and then the other side. So you got a grease fitting here for the top spindle, a grease fitting there for the hub. You got a grease fitting right underneath my finger for this lever, for the lever for the blade up and down. You have this grease fitting right here that does the lever for the e-brake. Then you have another grease fitting right behind here that does the other pivot point for here. Then you have, you can't see it too well, but you have a grease fitting right here for the, it's not the suspension, but it's the arm that holds the deck that's bolted to the back of the frame. And then I thought there was one more. I gotta look for it. I think there's one more grease fitting, but that's it. It's all right here on the side of the deck, or side of the mower. And you can get to them super easy, and it's not a big deal. So, and then the same on the other side. It's these little blocks right here. Here's one in the front, one in the back, and that's what the arm goes through to raise the mower deck. So those grease fittings. And then, like I said, yeah, it's just super easy to get to. They got fuel gauges on one tank, and they stopped working like the third day. So, but you know, whatever. I know that I get at least 2 full days out of a full mower, so I just make sure that they're topped off every morning. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So these are Worldlawn Cobras, 60 inchers, and the price was unbelievable. I picked up both of these mowers and a brand new 9-horse push blower with the Subaru motor on it. Picked them all three of these units up, and I paid $13,000, and that was including tax. So that's like half price. I mean, I don't think you can buy a 60-inch Toro for under $12,000 or $13,000. So I am good with these. They have a 2-year warranty, and like I said, they cover everything, which is wonderful. And that's it. I like these mowers. I think I will keep them for another season, trade them in for the, what do you got, the Cobra, and the next size up, I can't remember what it is. It's another snake name, I think. But it's another mower, but it's got wider tires, the bigger motor, the bigger front wheels, you know, all that stuff. But I don't know. As of right now, these mowers are my favorite. They cut beautifully, and I'm super happy with them. So that's it. I'm gonna shut this thing off now, and I gotta start getting ready to do the oil changes and start the greasing.